Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV for another episode. Boz is back. Haven't seen you for a couple of weeks, have I? You did the match day live, I didn't come. I did the Monday review, you weren't here. Last Thursday I did the match preview for Slough, you weren't about. But yeah, back together tonight. How romantic. Quiet week, really, in terms of stuff that's happened on the pitch.
In a good way as well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's nice to have a free week to prepare for Saturday because it is a massive game. And obviously we'll get to that at the end of the episode and preview Scunthorpe away. But we'll go right back. Not to Sunday, because obviously you did the match day live, you gave your thoughts on that. I gave my thoughts on it Monday. But I haven't seen you since the cup draw. Cardiff at home, what do you think? I think it's a belter.
A little bit, we would prefer it to be away, but yeah, I think it's still a Premier League team. We'll get a big crowd. Yeah, I don't think it's not winnable either. That's
exactly what I said, and I'm the same as you. At first I was like...
It's a little bit underwhelming.
Oh, it's Cardiff.
It's actually, it's a Premier League team. They're not in a great bit of form themselves, are they? I don't know, one was it last week?
They're decent at home. They're very good at home. I think they've won 3 and 4 at home, but they're awful away.
They're rest players against us.
This is the thing, and this is what I tweeted, and I was like you originally. When it first came out, and I went, oh, Cardiff. And then I thought, then you think about it, and you go, oh no, they're Premier League actually, aren't you? So it was, there's 64 teams in that competition. So there's only 20 a Premier League. So that's less than a third in that competition, the top division. And there's probably only half a dozen in the Championship that you'd go, wait, that's a decent draw.
Yeah.
So we've done well to pick a good one. I said the same as you. It would have been lovely if it was a big away draw, because we'd probably make more from a percentage of an away gate than we would for a home gate. Yeah. But it's a chance. We're going to be underdogs, which we haven't been in the first 2 rounds, and we've struggled, let's be honest. Replay and then obviously Slough Sunday. But we got the job done. Like you just said, Cardiff are going to rotate. They're going to be looking at staying in the Premier League. So I think be a decent crowd. If we can have a full side to pick from, have a real go. Not like Tottenham a couple of years ago when unfortunately it looked like we went up there for the day out.
We had a good day out, didn't we?
We had a very good day out, but it was like, when we look back now, it was like the players treated it as a day out as well. So let's go up there and have a proper go, see where it takes us. If we get beat 2-1, 3-1, 1-0, whatever, but let's go and have a right old go at them, let them know we're about, and I think there's half a chance of an upset. And obviously on top of that, we should make a few quid out of it, shouldn't we? Whether we get to see any of it, and plenty of people have their own opinions on Mr. Scally, but that's for another day, and it's not something that we're going to talk about tonight. But all in all, I think if we was rating it out of 10, I'd say it's a solid 7 out of 10 cup draw.
Yeah, I think most people would have wanted a Premier League team home or away, and got it.
We've got half of that, haven't we? So we've got the Premier League team. Bit of news on the back of today's Medway Messenger though regarding transfers, because the transfer window does open in 3 weeks. Striker on wish list. What do you make of that? We have 7 on the books at the moment, senior strikers.
We do, and as well as Liam Nash is doing out on loan, and
Connor Wilkinson's doing it out on loan.
I just think they're both done here, sadly.
There's still question marks over both, isn't there? Whether Nashy can step up to league football, and the question mark over
the
Connor
thing
is
with
the
Nashy
attitude.
is, I don't think he'll get the chance. To be honest, I think now that ship has sailed as far as love is concerned.
It might have done. You might be right, but in terms of,
I'm not saying that's, you know, he has done really well so far, and good.
I was going to say that's the thing.
If he came back in and come back in directly, fair enough. But I still think if he came back now, he'd still be so far down the pecking.
He's still probably number 5 striker, isn't he? Yeah. And there's a chance that Nolan Bow might be in front of him now as well. And he's definitely got Eves, Parker, List, and Hanlon all in front of him. So he's got a way to go to become a regular. But like you've just said, he went to Leatherhead last year. Wasn't any level really that was going to tell us anything that we needed to know about whether he could play for us. He went to Dulwich and didn't do too well. He's gone to Concord Rangers, and by all accounts, he's absolutely flying.
Fine,
so I think it's 7 in 9 plus about 3 or 4 assists. He's done everything that we've asked of him. Gone and got games at a better level, scored goals.
Which probably gives Lovell a bit of a headache because he's sort of done what he told him to, but maybe not what he hoped he would, if that makes sense.
I know what you mean, because it now causes another issue, but it's an issue that is a nice issue in as much as you can't have too many good strikers at a football club. And I think I tweeted the other day because I was bored and I sat there and watched every single goal that we'd scored this season, did every assist and every goal. Tom Eves has got 13, Elliot List has got 5. After that, it's Parker and Hanlon got 5 between them in terms of goals. So we do need one in case Mr. Eves gets injured or suspended.
I just think with Nash, I think that loan will be extended and it'll keep.
I think he'll stay there to the end of the season and then we'll make a choice. So is the striker wish to cover ourselves in terms of injury, or the fact that he might go?
I think, yeah.
Which would be a real shame. But again, if he does go, we look really light in terms of goals scored, don't we? Our top scorer had 5 then.
Yeah.
That's Elliot List, and I think 3 of them have come from the bench. But we shall see.
I think the way we're shaping up at the moment, if Eve stays, we're probably safe this season. If he goes, we're in trouble.
Has it also come about because Mr. Lovell maybe is aware now that there is an influx of money because we have this big money spending tie in the FA Cup? So there might be something to spend in January?
Well,
it's all conjecture. I'm not saying that we know anything. We certainly don't. But I guess we'll find out over the next 6 weeks, won't we?
I mean, and you wonder where, if we are going to bring money, where it's going to come from.
This is the thing, because again, it goes back to if you want someone who's proven at this level, you have to pay money. Generally, clubs don't sell their best players in January.
No.
So we're going to be looking at a Premier League or Championship loan, I'd imagine.
One player who I would mention, just in League Two, I think it's James Stockley.
Exeter, who's done really well. And they tend to produce a few, don't they?
There. I mean, that's...
Who was the lad that left there a couple of years ago, went to Peterborough, now Bristol Rovers? Nichols. He done really well.
Yeah.
They had one after that. Who was it the lad that went to...
Oh, Ollie Watkins.
Went to
He's at
Brentford.
Yeah.
Yep, so they do produce them.
Stockley's the one that, just like when you watch the highlights each week, he always seems to be in amongst the goals.
But our Exit are going to go... It's going to take silly money to get rid of get him to come to us in January when they're doing well in the league again. But we'll see what happens. Back to Sunday briefly, 3G pitch. You just mentioned off air, you said it bounced funny, the run was funny. Yeah. Luke O'Neill mentions that in the Shouting Men. The pitch there was all right, it was 3G and different to what we're used to. We trained elsewhere last week and tried to get used to it, but it had a weird bounce and run to it. Other than that, it was okay. Quite hard on your legs and a bit sore the next day, especially if you're not used to it, but it's part and parcel of the game. And Steve Lovell reiterates that as well. That's the reason Billy Bingham didn't feature. I've played on them pitches at obviously a lot lower level and it's horrible. It hurts your ankles, it hurts your knees. There's no give underfoot. They're a great source of income for lower league football clubs, your Margates, your Maidstones that we've been down to see. I totally understand
why you would do it.
But from a personal point of view, I'd rather play on grass.
Any good at all.
And that is the Steve Lovell said about Billy Bingham. There is no point putting someone out there who is worried about getting injured or having a recurrence of an injury. We felt there was no point playing him because he would just not have gone out and run about. He then goes on to say, we didn't say much about it, meaning the pitch beforehand, obviously. We didn't want to hype it up, but we knew it was going to be a tough one. It was a slow pitch. The ball didn't travel and it slowed the game down. They passed it slowly and we couldn't get into our mode.
That comment about it slowed the game down, we didn't really try and get the ball down. For probably 80 of them 90 minutes, we were going long to ease.
So is that the reason?
Well, that didn't work out, going long to ease. Because
the goal came from going long to ease, didn't it? Which is that Max Amer diagonal again, and fair play to Tom, he brought it under control, and Darren Oldacre then hit an absolute belter. But I think everyone knows it wasn't the best performance, but the main thing is we was in the act for the next round Monday night, weren't we? So we put it to bed. Just a couple of bits in brief in the week. There was a behind closed doors friendly at Priestfield, which was a shame no one noticed it because I'd probably gone over it if they'd opened the gate. Loads of the first team players that are not getting regular minutes played: Tom Adler, Luke O'Neill, Bradley Garmston, Alex Lacey, Billy Bingham, Bradley Stevenson, Josh Rees, Regan, Charles Cook, Nolan Bone, Brandon Hanlon all played, all started. And Jack Tucker scored the winner. It's a decent result against First Division. First Division? What was this, 1988? Against a Championship side. And to top that, was it Wednesday night or Thursday? Wednesday night, it's Thursday today. Under 18s went to Ewood Park. I think Blackburn are a division above in that youth league. And through to the fourth round now, I think, isn't it? So await the draw for that, which is really good.
Been away every round, I think I read as well.
I think so. I think they done well last year, didn't they? Go to Hillsborough last year and put on a decent show. Last season, or it might. That was the likes of Alan Simpson and Jack Tucker were in that group, weren't they? It might have been a couple of seasons ago then. But yeah, it's really good to see.
There's a couple of names that tend to pop up regularly on that youth reports.
There's that TJ Bramble played in who plays for Antigua.
That Ben Allen, who we signed in the summer, he seems to come up quite a lot on there now.
Yeah, there's a few. So bodes well for the future. Again, we're not going to sit here and say that they're going to, suddenly jump into the first team and win us the title, but it's nice to know that there is talent beneath the surface, so to speak. Henry Woods, Danny Devine didn't make the debut for Sittingbourne last week, unfortunately, because the pitch was wet. And Ben Chapman played in an eventful game for Faversham. The Loney was in a town side which lost 6-0 to Whiteleaf, and they had their keeper sent off and was replaced by an outfield player.
Wow.
He's had an interesting start down there. We've made 100 grand nearly out of the 2 FA Cup rounds, so that's nice. 135k to the winner if we can beat Cardiff. But there's plenty of league action before then, and we travel up north to this ground on Saturday. This ain't a Scunthorpe side that we went to in January, is it, and beat. I mean, they were absolutely flying when we beat them 3-1 last season. They've had I heart of that team got ripped out, unfortunately, didn't it? I mean, I looked through their
It's
squad.
almost unrecognisable now, isn't it?
Lee Novak's their top scorer, 8 in 22. Josh Morris is doing all right, but he's nowhere near the levels of that, what he did beginning of last season. I think he had like 2/3 of that campaign last year was Bradley Dack-esque, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was outrageous.
Their squad's tiny. Stuart McCall went in and had an effect to start with. But in terms of form, last 6, Gills have 9 points from 18 now, so 50%. That's 3 wins and 3 defeats, which, considering we went on that horrendous run of 12 without a victory, is not too bad. They've taken 4 points from 18. They've won 1, drawn 1 and lost a lot. At home, they've taken 7 points from 18, so that's 2 wins, a draw and 3 defeats. But the last 4, they've not won. And we are 8 from 18, which is wins at Bristol Rovers and Portsmouth, a draw at Doncaster and Shrewsbury and 2 defeats.
Portsmouth seems a long time ago now.
It seems ages ago, doesn't it? But then it's because we had that massive run of away games, which that was part of, and then we had that massive run of home games straight after, didn't we? They've not kept a clean sheet since the end of September.
Oh, you said it out loud. That's jinxed.
Oh, I've done it. I've jinxed it. Yeah, September. 14 games without a shutout. They've not won in 4 at home, and we've won 1 in 4 away. The 2 names we've just mentioned, aside from that, their squad's not the biggest. There's not any names that go jumping off the page at you anymore.
I think a lot of their players went to championship clubs, didn't they? Murray
They're
Wallace
banging
went
trouble,
to
aren't they?
Millwall, I think.
Yep, I think so.
Dwayne Holmes went to Derby.
They lost a few. I can't remember where they all went.
Paddy Madden's obviously no longer there. He's at Fleetwood.
Well, he left
now.
middle of last season, didn't he? Because we said at the time that was a weird one. He went to Fleetwood in the January, didn't he?
Doesn't seem so weird now, does it?
No. They're slap bang in a relegation battle, but then if they beat us, so are we. So,
which I was just going to say, which screams out to me, this could be difficult.
team news, no Callum Riley, suspended, and I read today, no Brandon Hanlon, slight hamstring problem, but not serious. So, team for me, I'd make 2 changes from the week, from Sunday, sorry. We haven't got to.
No, Riley didn't play last week, did he?
I'd go with Thomas Oley in goal. I'd go with the same back 4, Fuller, Zakwani, Amor and Ogilvie.
Fuller, I'm just reading there, no worries.
So he's absolutely fine. So yeah, it was just a precaution, he's absolutely fine. So I'd go with the same back 4. I'd leave Darren Oldacre in front, Mark Byrne from one side. I'd bring Billy Bingham back in the place of Dean Parrott.
Change, yeah.
And with Brandon Hanlon not available, I would push Elliot List right up top with Tom Eaves and I'd bring Regan Charles Cook back into the starting 11 at the expense of Josh Parker. List is flying, Eaves is flying, Regan Charles Cook makes things happen. And my bench would be Hadler, Garmston, O'Neill, Parker, Parrott, Reeson and Bow.
Doesn't sound too bad, that bench, does it?
It's all right, isn't it? Any more for any more?
No, I don't think so.
It's the winning formula.
Pretty much the team.
You can blame me if it all goes wrong. It's that time.
I think it's going to be difficult. I think 2-1 Gills, and I think Eaves, and I'll go List.
It's nearly identical. 2-1 Gills, Eaves and Bingham.
Oh, you fancy a Bingham goal?
Why not? He was unlucky against Hartlepool in the away game, wasn't he? So he hasn't scored for us yet, has he? It's got to happen sooner or later. Riley's popped in a couple from distance. Burner's got 1.
Same. Zakwani's due 1 then. Make it 3.
Zakwani's going to be due 1 forever, I think. But if he keeps doing his job at the other end, we're absolutely fine. I see there was a couple of people who responded to not Steve Lovell's tweet, but the tweet that Steve Lovell commented today in the press conference about how we're improving defensively, and a few people were like, are we? Well, we are. In that 10 games now, we've won 6, we've kept 4 clean sheets. And it's only twice.
It's just when we concede goals, we're conceding more than 1.
It was only twice in them 10 games. We've conceded more than once, which was Hartlepool, which was just a mad game, and Luton, who were a very good side. Apart from that, we've not conceded more than 1 in the other 8, and 4 shutouts. I know people that go, well, it was against Slough, and it was against... Who was the other one? Hartlepool, and the home game, won it in the FA Cup, and then we kept 2 in the league, Fleetwood and Bradford. Anyway, bit of a tangent. That's enough from us. We'll be back Monday for Monday review. Hopefully talk about 3 more points, which will set us up nicely for Wickham at home next week. And please keep doing all the usual. And until next time, up the Gills.